Charlie Rose interviewed President Assad, and he said several things. I don't want to go all through them, but among the things he said is there will be repercussions if there's a United States military strike, and that the United States should be fearful of that, direct and indirect repercussions. And he made a couple of veiled references to 9/11. I'd like to get your reaction to that. Secondly, today, the Syrians and the Russians have announced this concept of international supervision and control of, or maintenance of, the chemical weapon stockpiles in Syria. Do you have a reaction to that, or is that something that the administration would regard as a favorable move or not? And lastly, you've had the briefings, but you've lost ground in the Senate. There are more Senate Democrats saying they don't want to support this than do. Why are you losing ground?
First question with regard to Assad's comments, let me just say this. First of all, we take every possible precaution to make sure that we can prevent and defend against anything that might arise from the use of military action. And we've done that, and we'll continue to do that. And it is our judgment that President Assad in Syria would have very little interest in picking a fight with the United States of America. So I don't think that is likely at all. Second, with regard to the reports today about this Russian initiative, we've seen the reports. We want to take a hard look at the proposal. We'll obviously discuss the idea with the Russians. And of course, we would welcome a decision and action by Syria to give up its chemical weapons. The whole point of what we're doing is to stop Syria from using these weapons again. But I think it's important to keep a few things in mind. First of all, the international community has tried for 20 years to get Syria to sign on to the Chemical Weapons Convention, joining 189 other countries in doing so. Now it is one of only 5 countries that haven't done it. And just last week, President Assad wouldn't even say whether he had chemical weapons, despite overwhelming evidence he's actually used them.
Charlie either.
Yeah, well, exactly. And of course, we've also tried to work with the Russians at the United Nations repeatedly on Syria and chemical weapons for months. And until now, they have blocked all of our initiatives, including simple press statements, never mind a Security Council resolution. So that's the background. It's also important to note that Syria has one of the largest stockpiles of chemical weapons in the world, spread across the country. It would certainly take time, resources, and probably a peaceful environment to deal with this. All of that said, we're going to take a hard look at this. We'll talk to the Russians about it, but I think it's very important to note that it's clear that this proposal comes in the context of the threat of U.S. action and the pressure that the President is exerting. So it's even more important that we don't take the pressure off and that Congress give the President the authority he's requested. Finally, in terms of where we are with Congress, my sense is this, from all of these briefings. My sense is that when members of Congress have a chance to see the intelligence, to read it, to get the briefings, to ask questions, they come away convinced of 2 things. Chemical weapons were used on August 21st against civilians in Syria, and the Assad regime is the one that used them. Many members have yet to get this classified brief. And now, as they're coming back today and this week, they'll have the opportunity to do that. And we have senior officials going out to provide the same briefing we gave last week. And I believe that when they see the evidence, it is compelling, it's overwhelming. And then it comes down to a pretty basic question. Are we or are we not going to do anything about the fact that Assad poisoned his own people with gas, including hundreds of children? That's the question before the members of Congress. And when they have the evidence, when they see the facts, I think they'll come to the right conclusion.